tribe? Oh, what's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review of Ambitions, season 1, episode 2. Let me tell y'all something. This show is good, and there's a whole lot of moving parts going on in this thing here. And I'm still trying to get the names. I know how I am, but it's a lot of names in this show, so I'm trying to get them down. But we start this episode off. Remember, last episode ended with somebody breaking into Thelma's and looked like they were coming after Rondell, the mayor's sister. So we pick up with them. They didn't call the police. Her father sitting there with a shotgun, honey, and talking about something. He was ready to shoot him. The police were like trying to take a report and were like, sir, can you put that gun away? He was like, I ain't put my gun down. And then they're gonna ask him if he have a permit. And Ronell was like, you don't need a permit for a shotgun in the state of Georgia. Let's go. Keep it moving. We ain't doing this conversation. And so basically they report the incident. The police don't seem like they all that excited or worried about trying to catch it, because I mean it's in a bad neighborhood, and they were like, well, maybe they were just here to rob y'all and they got scared away or whatever. But they know, or they believe, that it's one of Peter's hitmen, the guy, that the developer that wants the land. So they believe it's somebody, he sent somebody to come and scare them. We find a couple of more connections. The woman that works for them, the Latino woman that works for them, come to find out she's the mother of Bella. Bella is the fashion designer that's having the affair with the mayor. So you got to keep up. It's a whole lot of moving parts here. And what we find out later on is, because they've been friends of the family all their lives, they've known each other since they were kids. And, you know, the mama ain't crazy about her. She knows about the affair with the man. She told her daughter, you playing with fire. You know, you need to stop. You're playing with fire. And of course, she believes what all other women believe. He's going to leave his wife for me and he loves me. Child boo. So the next thing we see is Bella in bed with the mayor. Remember, he went over to see her after Robin Gibbons and put a gun in his head the night before. He done spent the night. Now he's laying there asleep. Miss Bella is taking pictures of them together. She done took pictures of his private parts, and while he's sleeping. So he wakes up and, you know, they get to making love again. Bella is videotaping them having sex. So Bella got some shit with her. Okay. And who's to say that that's the first time? She might have a whole lot of copies and pictures and videotapes of them or what have you. But of course, she's doing what the other woman always does. When you're going to leave your wife, you said you love me. Now you're talking about you want to run for governor. You told me you just had to wait until you got done with being mayor. And when is it going to be my turn? You know, that whole thing. And his thing is, look, I take care of you. I done helped you get your fashion line launched. What more do you want from me? I want you. I want us to be together. I want us to be a couple. He said, look, ain't nobody got time for that. And you start to see he's kind of a little nasty dude. You know, he's like, I ain't got time for that. He said, and don't be having that other dude up in here, the little broke half football player. I think his name is Reggie. Talking about some, don't be having him up in the loft that I pay for. And I said, oh, here we go. And she was like, look, as long as you're sleeping with your wife, I'm gonna sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. He talking about some, not in my loft, but anyway. So they definitely, their situation is very interesting. It's going to get even more interesting as we get to the end of this episode. We'll get there. So then we see Jackie, Robin Givens' character, shows up at her mama's house in the middle of the night. She said, look, I knew you would still be up. And it's clear that something's wrong with her. She goes straight to the bar to pour herself a drink. Her mama like, look, what's going on? Where your husband? And of course, Robin kind of gives her the look like, you know where he at. Clearly Robin doesn't know who he's sleeping with, but she clearly knows that he has an outside interest, you know. So Mama said, look, once upon a time, you know, because Robin said, no, let me rewind. There are other siblings. Robin isn't the only child. But Robin said, look, or Jackie, I'm going to stop calling her Robin. Jackie said, look, I'm the one that stayed home. I'm the one that sacrificed for the family business. Yet and still, I get treated like the stepchild. They off gallivanting the world, but daddy gives me a hard time, and I'm the only one here trying to help him keep this business running, you know, keep the dynasty going. And I'm just not, I just don't feel like I'm appreciated. But her mama gave her some good advice. Her mama said, look, when I was, you know, when me and your dad, in our younger days, I didn't do a whole lot of smiling either, because I was too busy worried about him. And when I started focusing on what made me happy and focusing on me, life got a lot better. So she left her mom left her with those words. Next thing you know, she picks up her phone and who you think she texts? She texts the ex-boyfriend, Trent. Now Trent and wifey, they done had a moment. They done talked it out. They done had some, good love. Talking about we want to, Jackie is not a threat to us. Is it Jacqueline? Jackie? I hope I'm saying the right name. So she is not a threat to us. I'm here because I want to be here. I want to work on our marriage. So they done had themselves a good little night. And she hears the phone go off. She checks her phone. Nothing. She looks at her husband's phone. Honey, the phone locked. She done took the man's finger and connected it to the phone so she could get into the phone and see it was a text from her name ain't Jackie. Stephanie. Stephanie Carlisle. Why I was calling that woman Jackie. Um, Come to find out it's a text from her. She responds to the text, and we don't know what she said. We don't know what text she sent. We don't know what text the wife responded. We find out a little bit later on. So the next day we see okay, so then we see Miss Stephanie and the mayor having breakfast, and they're doing that whole passive aggressive, what is on your calendar, what is on your calendar. It's so clear that they're not really on the same page. I mean, she did put a gun in his head. And as he's leaving, she tells him, she says, "Look, you've been putting in a whole lot of late nights lately." She said, "You didn't even come home last night." He said, "Oh, you mean the night you put the gun to my head?" "Yeah, I didn't come home." She said, "Look, just don't disrespect me. Again, I know what you're out here doing, but don't throw it in my face." So then we see um Essence Atkins' character meet up with Councilman Hamilton. Now, Councilman Hamilton is the Achilles heel into the mayor. He's the one that's going public, accusing the mayor of corruption, accusing the mayor of not doing things he's supposed to be doing. Really that person that's kind of coming at him and coming at him. And so, of course, remember she's investigating the mayor now. And so she goes to talk to him and says, "Look, is there any validity to the stuff you're saying, or is this just hot air? Is this just political banter? Is because I'm investigating and I need to know what's really going on with the mayor and his cabinet." And so Hamilton tells her, "You don't believe me? Why don't you start with the mayor's mistress?" And then they close the door. So we don't know what all Hamilton told her, but we know she got some information, honey. Miss Bella, we found out Bella got a baby. That's, the mom helps her take care of Bella. Again, it's the fashion designer / the mayor's mistress, right? And that's when the mama tells her, "Look, stop messing with this man. He don't mean you no good." So we see the mayor in his office flirting with I guess it's his chief of staff. They get the flirting. He gets a phone call. They telling him about what happened at the diner with Ronell and being threatened and everything. Because remember, I didn't tell y'all that part. She said no, she didn't want to call the mayor. She didn't want to get him involved. So of course he gets the phone call and he heads down there and he's like, "What the hell happened?" They tell him what happened, and he said, "Well, this wasn't Peter's." And she said, "What do you mean it wasn't Peter's?" He said, "Because if it was Peter's, y'all wouldn't be alive. Like, he's not going to come down here and make a whole bunch of idle threats. If he sent a thug to come and get y'all, the thug would have got y'all." So he's like, "I know threat is coming, but the threat is coming from somewhere else." Which of course doesn't make them feel better because it's like, well, damn, it's one thing to have one enemy, but now I know I got two enemies. God dang. I think that would be a good Okay, y'all. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I get these names right, y'all. So Stephanie is at lunch, right? She is waiting for an old friend, and she tells the waiter, and she describes this old friend to the waiter, and the waiter says, "Oh, okay." And next thing you know, Amara, as an Atkins character, says, "I don't think that we would quite describe each other as friends." And so, of course, Stephanie was like, "If this is about Titus," I called him Trent. His name is Titus. Essence said, "No, this is about respect." She said, "You don't get to text my husband in the middle of the night." And she said, "Well, it was about business." She said, "But again, then text him during business hours. You're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to just call my husband whenever you feel like it. Y'all are working on a business situation. Y'all going to keep it business." So then Stephanie, so she gets up like she going to walk away. And Stephanie says, "You know what? Maybe we need to just go ahead and get this all out." She said, Let's do it. Let's get it out." And that's when we really find out that, um, you know, Amara done stole a man from her back when they were in college. They're in the same sorority. And she said, "You wanted to be me." Stephanie says that to Amara. "You wanted to be me." So you thought, you studied me, and I know you think you know me, but baby, you don't know what you think you know about me. And so then she starts asking her questions about the mayor. She said, what are these accusations about your husband being corrupt? She wasn't real subtle about it. She just came right out and started asking her. And Stephanie was like, oh, so I guess you're listening to, a certain council member that, got it out for my husband. She said, but I thought you'd be better than that than to just listen to rumors in the street. She said, I'm just wondering. I'm giving you an opportunity to let me know. And then they go on about their business. But I said, I know that's right, Amara. So when she texted her back, she was texting back about meeting up for lunch. And Stephanie thought she was meeting up with Titus, and the wifey didn't showing up. I said, I know that's right. That's what you're supposed to do. Put her on notice. Let her know. Don't play them games. So Miss Bella is trying to have a fashion show in the park without a permit, honey. And the police officer is telling her, you can't do that. She said, it's a public park. Why do I need a permit? She said, look, all I need is about 45 minutes and then I'll be gone. The police officer said, no, we can't do that. So first she tried to, throw it out there like, look, can I get you, your wife? Does she have I'd love to get her a custom gown. I just need 30, 40 minutes. The police officer was like, I don't have a wife, but what else you got to offer? So of course Bella was like, this motherfucker. So she calls the mayor, AKA her boyfriend, and says, look, I need your help. But the mayor, mind you, is on his way down. He's trying to figure out who's threatening his family. He's like, look, I'm in the middle of a crisis. I can't do this right now. She said, well, I just need you to talk to this police officer. Can you just talk to him and tell him it's okay for me to do my photo shoot? He said, look, can we handle this later? She said, no, I got to have this ready because I have some investors that I'm meeting with tomorrow and I need to show them this. He said, look, I can't do it right now. Click him. So she calls Reggie, the boyfriend, the football player. She calls him to come through. And of course, he comes through and he sweet talks the guy, offers him some tickets to the game, and works it all out, right? And as she's working it out with, as she's thanking him and they kissing and hugging and everything, now the man shows up. And of course, y'all know he don't like that. He done already told her stop messing with this dude. So he's jealous. He's being real nasty. He gonna tell the guy, we're putting together a, welcome to Atlanta campaign with some local celebrities. Would you be willing to be a part of it? And of course, he was like, sure, I'll do it. He said, you really should get Bella. He gonna say, she's not a big enough celebrity. I said, oh, there he go being petty. That's some petty bitch shit. But he walks off, but he's not happy. He is not happy. Back down to Thelma. See, it's a lot of moving parts in this, y'all. Back down to Thelma's place, we see Ronell putting together social media video so that she's starting a neighborhood program. They call themselves NAGs, but basically they're organization that's going to try to save the neighborhood from this project that's coming in. A lot of people are being offered a lot of money to sell their property, sell their homes, so that this Peters can come in and start this project. Who comes walking in the door is Councilman Hamilton. And of course, Ronell was like, I know you didn't walk up in my establishment after the way you've been talking trash about my brother. And he was like, look, I'm your councilman. I'm here to help. She said, oh, you're the person in charge of this? Like, you're the person that's over, that's my council member? Oh, okay, so what you going to do? We need your help. What you going to do to help us save this? And he said, look, um, I'm here to help. He said, but if you do something for me, I mean, if I do something for you, you got to do something for me. She was like, what? Next thing you know, honey, he got himself a plate. He eating himself some lunch, and he is flirting. And Ronell said, if you weren't out for my brother, me and you might be able to be friends, because we found out that he was a teacher in the neighborhood. He's not from that neighborhood, but he worked in that neighborhood, and he became vested in the neighborhood. So they became a teacher, and then he decided to run for council, and that's how he sort of got into politics. So Ronell's kind of giving him the look, and he kind of giving her the look, and he said, I tell you what, he said, if you weren't, if it wasn't for your brother, we could be more than just friends. I said, oh, okay, Hamilton. Flirting, and she just is smiling and grinning. But they end up having their neighborhood meeting, and he shows up, and of course they give it to him. The neighborhood is like, fix my potholes. What you gonna do about the street lights? He said, look. I hear what y'all are saying, but that's not what we're here for tonight. Tonight we're here to figure out and organize and figure out how we're gonna save this neighborhood. And so all of them agree that they're gonna work together, that they're not gonna sell out, and that they're gonna work together to try to save the neighborhood. So in the interim, the man done figured out, or at least think he figured out, who was threatening him, and he rose up on Stephanie's father. And he tells, and Stephanie's father and her mom, I think her name is Isabel, they were talking, and she was telling him, look, it's time for you to retire. Just go ahead and sign over the law firm to Stephanie. She's earned it. She works hard. You know it's in good hands. And he was like, oh, so did she put you up to this? She was like, nah, she ain't put me up to it, but I'm just telling you what I see. And he said she ain't ready yet. So while they're having this conversation, the man rolled up in the house, huffing and puffing, cussing, calling him all kinds of old man this and old man that, and they getting each other face. He said, let me tell you something. You're not going to threaten my family. You do a whole lot of things, but you're not going to threaten my family. And they going back and forth. You sending a thug down to my family's house. I mean, my family's business to threaten them. And my sister could have gotten hurt. She could have gotten killed. You're not going to do that, honey. The wife said, it's Miss, I think it's Isabella. She said, sit down. Shut up and sit down. He didn't send the thug to your restaurant. I did. It needed to be done. They need to go ahead and sell so we can get this project on the way. So your sister was never in danger, but I sent them down there. So of course now he's looking at the mama like, the fuck? Like, you did what? But honey, yes, and neither one of them had nothing to say after that. So he storms out, and the husband is looking at his wife with a whole nother level of respect. He was like, "I didn't know you had all that in you." She said, "We've been married for 30 years. You still underestimating me." She said, "Look, we need that project. It needs to be done. Period." And she never looked up from her book, honey. She ain't never looked up from her little book. Now, Stephanie doing a little bit of background research on Miss Titus and Amara. She got her private investigator looking into it. Private investigator lets her know, look, Titus is clean as a whistle, but now Miss Amara done had herself a little bit of a affair. She done stepped out the marriage. So Stephanie said, oh, really? She said, well, you little bit two-time and conniving little something something got me feeling some kind of way. And you out here sleeping around on your husband. Okay, I see, I see. So she got herself a little ammunition in her little piece with the Mara. Um Last but not least, Miss Bella comes home with her son. And who's sitting in the living room but the mayor? He bought the baby a little tablet and he's talking to him. I mean, he knows him. He comes in, he said, Mr. So and so, Mr. Carmichael, or Uncle, whatever. But you can tell they have a relationship. And as soon as that little boy turned the corner, I said, uh huh, okay, uh huh. As soon as the little boy go in his bedroom, Bella said, what you doing here? He said, what? I can't come visit my son? I said, oh, shiggity, shiggity. So this affair been going on for years because that little boy looked like he about 4 or 5 years old. So this thing, like I said, this thing got more twists and turns, honey. And so I'm loving it. Like I said, I am loving it. It is what I'm loving about it is that it's giving us a lot, and you see how these different characters and families are connected, honey. But you don't know, you don't see what's coming next. Anyway, I loved it. Good second episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.